Meeting will come to order. I need a motion for agenda approval.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Approval
it.
agenda is presented.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Report on closed session.
The board did meet in closed session under agenda item 1 on the closed session agenda, conference with real property negotiator. No action was taken. Action will be taken with regard to the Van Buren parcel under agenda item 6 in the open session. The second item on the closed session agenda was conference with legal counsel regarding pending litigation involving forecast land investment, and the board authorized the general manager to enter into a settlement agreement with Forecast. Under agenda item 3 in the closed session, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. No action was taken. Action may be taken in open session under agenda items 9 and 10. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Public comment on matters not on the agenda. Kim McDonald. Matters not on the agenda. What did he say? Maybe I got it wrong. We're going to take action on these two items.
I'll tell you later when she's done.
Forgive how I look today. I'm not quite done disking at my son's house. I do have some complaints again about the company BRI, which is what the city has hired to deal with me. On September 15th, I was emailed from BRI a new replacement housing report, and I have told you before, I do have problems with computers and reading numbers and things like that. So I emailed back to him the next day that I wished for him to send a copy to my lawyer. And evidently, it was never done. So basically, until I found out 2 days ago my lawyer had not received a copy, it's all been sitting shelved again. And what I am trying to do is, like you, get this thing done so I can get out and find a new place to live. But this company does not communicate with itself ever. And Mr. Fabian has been nice enough to say from now on, when I want to communicate with him, I should communicate with him first. But in the meantime, the second housing report has come out again. This time, at least, they do have a riverfront house on it as the prioritized house. But the thing is, through everything that I'm reading, it says they cannot force me to downsize. I have said to them, they can make the house smaller, as long as they're not cutting down on the bedrooms and stuff like that. But I need a place to keep my things. And so I either need a shop or a larger garage space, which is not considered in the living area. But it continues to come back with places that are well over 1,000 square feet, less than what I have, and not enough area to build a shop on premises to then store all my stuff. I have been saying it to them repeatedly, and basically, they're all on parcels that are less than an acre. I'm on 3 acres. So what is legal for them to do is, they do not have to basically pay me for those extra 2 acres. They are putting me on a house with 1 acre, and those other 2 acres don't count for anything. This house is in a similar location. Those extra acreage gives me privacy. And so that's one thing that is lost in this. And for the loss of square footage, if they would compensate with money so that once I moved into a place, I could then build a shop to take care of storing things, that would be one thing, but evidently that's not the way it's done. It is just the house that they can find, what's on premises. If there's less square footage, there has been no offer of compensation whatsoever for building on. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. approval of the September the 10th, 2015 minutes.
Move approval.
Second?
Been moved and seconded that we approve the September 10th, 2015 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Review monthly year-to-date revenue and expenses.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. This month is for August 2015. The agency had a starting position of approximately $14.3 million. No appreciable revenue was received during the month. Expenses totaled $173,000 approximately, primarily on the Southport project. And the total expenditures for the month were $227,000. The ending balance for the month was $14.1 million. And that ends the report for the month.
On the review, the spreadsheet, we used to have where every item, every contractor that we had used to be listed.
Right. The report starts with the active spending from July 1. So as we go through it, any spending during the current fiscal year gets added to it. It's not a static list of every contractor that we've contracted with, but the active spending during the fiscal year. Are you looking for a list of contractors that,
Yes, please.
okay,
Yeah.
I could do that separately.
Yeah, I'd like to have a list of the
Okay,
existing ones. And expiration dates.
okay.
Okay. Consent agenda. We're going to take items 6, 7, and 8. on
Yeah, and
consent.
I believe there was an adjustment to item 6, correct? Someone from staff want to explain that?
Yeah, if I can do that, Tom. In item 6, there's a reference in the staff report to a Seacon property. You'll note when you look at the resolution, however, that the Seacon property is not covered in that. Seacon property has been dropped from that resolution.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have item 7.
Well, with that adjustment, then I would move for approval of the agenda, consent items 6, 7, and 8,
Okay.
as presented and revised.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that the consent agenda 6, 7, and 8 be approved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Public hearing. Paul, you have some? Item number 9 and 10.
Good morning, President Denton, members of the board. Today, I'm going to present to you 2 resolutions of necessity for the Sacramento River Early Implementation Project for your consideration. I'll discuss the goals of the project, for the Southport project, a brief overview of some of the decisions that were made to advance the project to its current design. Then I'll present the required information for resolutions of necessity in 2 separate parcels. So as you know, first and foremost, the Southport Early Implementation Project is a public safety project. Our overarching goal, WSAFCA's overarching goal, is to provide 200-year flood protection for the city and its residents, and with the least amount of harm to private property. Our objective is also to design and construct a project to achieve 200-year flood protection that maximizes use of local resources. So we've been through this many times before. This all started with understanding what is the problems with our levee, identifying alternatives to understand the deficiencies and propose solutions to those deficiencies. And through that process, the Southport project was selected in 2010 to address significant levee deficiencies along the Sacramento River. In 2011, a preliminary design report was completed which analyzed the deficiencies and solutions to address them. Since the final design report, the levee design has advanced from 15 to 65% to 90% complete. I'm sorry, I went too far. Village Parkway design is 100% complete. In fact, we have a contractor on board. Staking has been occurring this week, and preliminary grubbing and clearing is expected in the next week. Construction is going to be happening shortly thereafter. And the project team anticipates that the levee design will be completed, will come to 100% complete before the end of the calendar year, and we would go out to bid at the beginning of the year. So you may recall staff presented a design decision hierarchy which you agreed to. Identify the levee deficiency and its causes, test various solutions and combinations of solutions to try to solve the problems that we know, minimize the impacts of private property owners, and maximize the benefit to the city, its residents, and businesses. That resulted in 3 combined measure alternatives being developed, adjacent levee with berms, an adjacent levee with a cutoff wall. A second combined measure alternative included adjacent levee with cutoff walls, setback levee with cutoff walls and berms, as well as a partial levee degree, as well as fix-and-place solutions, fix-and-place levee with a cutoff wall with a levee and berms. The team ultimately, the team combined these various solutions into two alternatives. A preferred design alternative was brought to you to develop a project that provides the greatest amount of protection to the city as soon as possible and to minimize the effects on the community while achieving the first objective. The combined measures of adjacent levee with seepage berms, setback levee with seepage berms, and fix-in-place with seepage berm designs were assembled to produce 2 alternatives. Both of these design alternatives were brought to 15% complete, and in January of I believe it was 2012, a project team presented these 2 design alternatives and various solutions to address the levee deficiencies. Alternative 1 included adjacent fix-in-place repairs with conventional cutoff wall in segment A and B in the southern end of the project, combined with setback levee beginning in segment B through and behind B's Lake and adjacent levee with seepage berm through segment F. Alternative 2 consisted of the same solutions for segments A, C, D, and E, but segment B and F solutions included setback levees. The WSAFCA board approved advancing segments A through G where flood risk reduction solutions were common to both alternatives. Furthermore, value engineering studies were requested by the board for segments B and F, which were completed in May and August of that year. Based on the feasibility of the measures evaluated, the impacts to private property owners, cost effectiveness, and our ability to provide maximum flood protection, the board directed the project team to integrate into the preferred design alternative the results of the engineering analysis for segments B and F. This is a hearing for a resolution of necessity. We have to show that the public interest is served by the proposed project, that the project is planned and located in a manner that's most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury, that the property is necessary for the project, and an offer has already been presented to the owner of record. So, I've already discussed the fact that we've identified significant deficiencies along the Sacramento River in Southport. We've identified ways to address those issues through various design proposals which have been brought before you. The design will provide a 200-year flood protection, meeting state and federal standards. It will protect over the residents of West Sacramento, 50,000 people, and over $4 billion in community assets. And without the proposed project improvements, residents and businesses continue to be at risk during a major storm event. Proposed project is planned and located in a manner that will be most compatible with the greatest public good and least private injury. Talked about the location. We know that this is an area with significant erosion issues. The project team evaluated a number of proposals which were brought before you and ultimately decided on a preferred alternative. We have our environmental documentation, and the point here is that we're trying to, we've gone through a deliberative process to identify a public safety project that provides the greatest benefit with the least private harm. This particular resolution necessity is for a parcel located down at South River Road near the railroad trestle. This is the ELA Investment Partners parcel. It measures just under 6 acres. It's located in segment B, just downriver from where the levee will transition from a strengthened in place to a setback levee. 4.3 acres of the property is needed for levee improvements, including the levee, the O&M corridor, and a small area for the offset area. Because South River Road will eventually be abandoned, there is also a small area needed for a future cul-de-sac planned at the property. The board approved an offer for this property in May of this year. A written offer was assembled and presented to the owner of record. And in accordance with the government code, the written offer was mailed to Eli Investment Partners for their consideration. That concludes my findings for the first resolution necessity, 151002.
Open for public comment. No public comment? Let's not close it.
Then close it.
Pardon? Close it, yeah.
Close the comment period, and then we'll.
You have one more. Have number 10. Close the public hearing. Okay, we're going to close the public meeting on item number 9 of the agenda. So we have item number 10.
No, we'll consider the resolution.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I would like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 15-10-2 as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Now, number 10.
Public hearing now.
Number 10.
President, members of the board, this is the second resolution necessity being presented for your consideration. Again, I'll go through the findings, that this is in the public interest and necessary for the project, that the project is planned and located that's most compatible with the greatest public good, least private injury. The property is needed and the offer has been made to the owner of record. So again, this is still in Southport. This property is in, the property we're talking about is in segment G. We've gone through the reasons for the public interest for the proposed project. This property is located in a place that is most compatible with the least public good. Again, the overall project along the Sacramento River has multiple deficiencies that need to be corrected. We've evaluated a number of design solutions to achieve the 200-year flood protection, and there was a deliberate selection process to get us to our current design, meeting the public safety needs, trying to cause the least public injury. In this particular case, we're talking about the McCrae Trust property. The McCrae property is currently being administered as part of a McCrae bankruptcy case. Estate, usually actions against the debtor's property are stayed by a filing of bankruptcy. In this case, however, WSAFCA asked the bankruptcy judge to find that WSAFCA could proceed despite the bankruptcy case. The judge agreed, allowing WSAFCA to go forward with the acquisition and today's hearing. The McCrae Trust parcel is approximately 7 acres, a little bit larger. It's located in segment G. As shown in the diagram, 2.3 acres are encumbered with existing levee easements. An additional 1/thousandth of an acre is needed for the construction of levee improvements. Temporary construction easements are also required to build an access from Village Parkway to the property, as well as to deal with some minor demolition and filling in of drainage ditches. The WSAFCA board approved the acquisition again in May of 2015 of this year. An offer of compensation as required by government code to the representative of the owner, which in this case is in this unique case is the U.S. Bankruptcy Court Chapter 7 trustee. That concludes my presentation on this resolution.
Open for public comment. No public comment. It's closed. I need a motion then for item number 10.
I would make that motion that we approve the resolution 15-10-03, authorizing eminent domain on the McCrae Trust property as presented.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Let's see, regular agenda, WSAFCA project updates.
Morning, President and members of the board. I'd like to go over a few of the highlights of the progress report for the month of October. For the Southport Early Implementation Project, district staff has prepared the 408 package and is routing through their Office of Counsel. And it is expected to be before the Executive Office, the District Commander, next week, which will then send that 408 package off to Division, and then following Division, it goes to Headquarters for review and approval. For the final EIS for the project, we received word early this week from district staff that there's a slight revision to the description in the final EIS relative to cultural resources and cumulative effects. That change is being prepared by our environmental consultant and will be forwarded to the Corps next week. It's not expected to result in any significant change to the final EIS process, just a clarification on cumulative effects. A couple of weeks ago, staff met with representatives from the Yochadihi Winton Nation, as well as United Auburn Indian Communities, and we gave them a tour of the project site per their request. Members of the Corps cultural team also accompanied that tour. The tour went very well. They were real appreciative of being able to go out and take a look at the project site and potential impacts. They did express some concerns over a few areas that they could be potential impacts. We did discuss doing some additional survey work, non-destructive survey work. We are in the process of getting a proposal together to conduct some of that survey work, and we expect bringing that item before the board in one of the next meetings for consideration. At the conclusion of that tour, one of the United Auburn tribe did indicate that they would defer to Yochadihi for consultation moving forward. So it appears that at this point we will be working one-on-one with Yochadihi as we had originally anticipated. So that was good news for being able to move our project forward. For the programmatic agreement, under the cultural consultation, it is before the SHPO as we speak for review, and it is expected to be signed by next Friday. They have, as I'll report later, they've been kind of cranking out PAs lately for a couple of the GRRs, and we're very confident that we're going to be able to get our PA executed next week. So that's also very good news. On real estate services in support of the project, staff submitted the final real estate plan to DWR's real estate division. That's one of the crucial elements that we need to establish with the state in order to be able to start the advance and reimbursement process for the Southport project. So that's also good news. We did receive one executed agreement. Unfortunately, it's the one we're closing out, so we're still anticipating receipt of the funding agreement that will carry us forward for the Southport project construction, but we hope to receive that either by the end of this week or early next. It's with the Department of General Services, excuse me, Department of General Services, and it's tough getting a read on when stuff comes out of that office, but we've seen one of the amendments. The other one should be right on its heels. Staff put out a request for proposals for asbestos and lead material testing services in conjunction with, to support the demolition effort, and that was sent out the end of September. We're expecting proposals soon, and then we will be looking to bring a contractor on board in the near future to start that work to support the demolition services. For design of the Southport project, we completed the 90% design milestone. We, late last month, we conducted the 90% Board of Senior Consultants review. Project partners with the Corps, DWR, Center Valley Flood Protection Board staff were present, as well as many of the design team members. Following that presentation, we've received all comments from the commenting partners, which includes the WSAFCA team, Corps, construction management team, and also from the Board of Senior Consultants. Those comments have been routed to HDR's design team. They're reviewing those comments and preparing a table of responses that will be reviewed. At this point, there doesn't appear to be any significant comments that would materially change the project in its current design. For the Village Parkway piece, as the board is aware, the construction contract was awarded in September board meeting. The pre-construction meeting was scheduled with the contractor Tykert Construction on September 30th. Notice to proceed with construction was issued on September 30th, and the scheduled start date now for construction is October 12th. We anticipate completion of the project sometime next summer, and also the pre-construction surveys, environmental surveys, have also been completed in support of that construction effort. So North Area project closeout. Mark Thomas Company is on schedule to complete the revised North Area survey work by mid-month. Staff has met with DWR's real estate branch to review the final accounting packages as to the form. Both of these efforts are focused on providing completed document packages for ultimate approval and closeout of these projects. For the general reevaluation report, the final report draft has been completed. The read-ahead package was sent to division on September 14. All comments have been received and responded to by district staff. This is a little bit different than what was provided in the update. In the progress report, I just received an update actually this morning. So, so all comments have been responded to and closed out. District staff has received endorsement to transmit the package to headquarters. The electronic submission of that package to headquarters is taking place starting today. I hope to have that all uploaded by the end of the week. And hard copies are also being prepared that are expected to be mailed by the close of business on Friday. So headquarters shall be in receipt of all final report and Civil Works Review Board read-ahead materials by mid-next week. And as of today, we are still on target for the Civil Works Review Board December 8th. Also in support of the GRR, the NIMS issued their final BO in September 8th. The programmatic agreement for cultural resources was signed by the SHPO and District Command on October 1st. So the only outstanding items now are the final EIS for the project, final EIR and EIS, and those will be finalized after the Civil Works Review Board. So things are going well, wrapping up the final report and getting to the Civil Works Review Board by the end of the year, so it's looking good. The Rivers Erosion Repair Site. The first working day for construction of the project was September 14th. All rock slope protection work has been completed, and now the contractor is beginning work on the vegetated, mechanically stabilized earth area, the terraced portions of the levee slope. Anticipation completion of all of the field work by the end of next week. And then we'll go work on project closeout by the end of October. I had reported in the last project program update and also in this one about the update to the previous problem identification report and alternatives analysis that was completed in 2008 for the original the levee program. As you're aware, staff submitted proposals for professional engineering services to provide that update back in July. 3 proposals were received August 21st, and staff recommended and received approval at the council meeting last night to award contract to Wood Rogers to complete those updates. That included funding of that effort through the use of the in lieu fee fund. A kickoff meeting is scheduled with the project team for next week, October 13th. The update to the PIR and the alternatives analysis is expected to be completed in the February-March timeframe. So I'm going to save public relations update for in just a couple minutes. I'm going to ask Lucy Crocker to provide an update on the efforts leading up to and what is going to be scheduled for Flood Preparedness Week, which starts October 19th. The only thing I will report, which is related to that, is under our emergency preparedness section for our emergency response plan. The draft plan has been completed. We have scheduled a tabletop exercise on October 20th during Flood Preparedness Week. It's going to be held over at Raley Field at the alternate EOC. At that tabletop exercise, we will exercise the new plan, get feedback on the plan, and that feedback will be used to finalize the plan by end of January, maybe early February of next year. And so with that, unless you have any questions on what I've reported thus far.
No, my only comment is it's good to see some of the loose ends being taken care of on the GRR. That's very promising.
It is promising. So I'd like to ask Lucy Crocker to brief the board on the Flood Preparedness Week efforts.
Good morning, Chair Denton and members of the board. So I'd just like to tell you what we're doing this year for Flood Preparedness Week, and all of the partnerships with the West Sacramento Unified School District are all coming due to some comments that Chair Denton made a couple of years ago about wanting to get the schools involved. So we started building on that a few years ago with a school poster contest, and that has blossomed into more and more partnerships with the schools. So this year, we're going to have all grade levels involved in our school partnership with Flood Preparedness Week. And I'm really hoping that you can come out to the news conference on Monday, October 19th, to see everything that's going to be going on. That's at 10 o'clock, and I'll let you know in a moment where the news conference is taking place. So we have two primary goals. We want to get businesses, residents, and all the stakeholders in West Sacramento involved in Flood Preparedness Week and be thinking about flooding and the possibility of whether it's just street flooding or the possibility of a more major flood, and making sure that they're prepared for that. So we want to start that when they're very young, little kids, be thinking about that all the way up to adulthood. And one thing that has happened due to the drought is there's been a 12% drop in people purchasing flood insurance due to a drought. That's in West Sacramento and throughout the greater Sacramento region. So we're really also going to be focusing on repurchasing flood insurance or purchasing flood insurance if you've never had it. So that's one of our great calls to action this year during Flood Preparedness Week. So Mayor Cabaldon and representatives from DWR and the Army Corps of Engineers will all be at the kickoff event on Monday, October 19th at 10 o'clock at Southport Elementary School. And they are going to be kicking off the statewide Flood Preparedness Week here in West Sacramento again this year. And we're really happy to have everyone involved. There is a large, as you know, Russian and Spanish-speaking community in West Sacramento. So we are going to be expanding on our Plan, Pack, Protect theme from last year and be integrating some really fun things. We are going to be having an interactive game that these first through fourth graders can be playing this year on their iPads, their phones, and at their computers. And that will be taking place at schools. And it's really, really fun. There are 10 elementary schools we're going to be getting involved this year. And we have little characters in this game, and we hope all of you will play it on your computers. We'll be sending it to you. And we have, there's Petra the Planner, Pedro the Packer, and Polly the Protector. And we've been beta testing it, and the kids don't want to quit playing the game. It's really, really fun. It's cute. There's like a little flashlight, a little house, and it's just an adorable little game. And when they're done playing it, it kicks out a certificate of completion. They take it home to their parents, show them that they played it, and it encourages their parents to buy flood insurance. So that's one of the new things that we have this year. And then another thing that we have going on is the journalism students from the high school are going to be covering the news event and writing an article for the high school about, it's called Our City is their newsletter, and writing an article about the news conference. So they'll also be covering the news conference, which in some ways is more important than getting the news media, the real news media, to cover the news conference. We also have our popular poster contest going on again this year, which you know has been highly successful. So you have the opportunity to judge the posters again this year if you are so inclined. And we'll be presenting all of this information and honoring the participants at a city council meeting in November. And then there's also a promotional kit with information that will be going up on the website and other information. So there's just lots and lots of involvement with the schools, as well as information going out to the adults throughout the community as well. So, does anyone have any questions?
Sounds like a good plan.
It's a great plan, and please look for the game in your email boxes at some point, and we hope that you are all able to play it as well as the 4-year-olds are. We are not able to do it ourselves in the office as quickly as the 4-year-olds are, so I wish you good luck. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So just to follow up on that, President Dent and the board, so in addition to the journalism students participating at the media event on the 19th, we're also inviting them and a couple of the, I guess it's AP Science class students and their teacher to join us at the tabletop exercise on the 20th to observe what the city and our emergency responders do when we plan and exercise for potential flood events. And we're hoping that they'll also take that information, perhaps interview a couple of folks, and take that information as well back to the high school and share that with their colleagues and their classmates and their parents as well. And then I have a couple of new items that is not on the progress report that I wanted to talk about. Also, at last night's council meeting, there was a proposed reorganization that was approved for the city, some of the city departments. The flood division is now part of the community development department as of today. And the community development director, Charlene Hamilton, is here in the audience. So I wanted to introduce the board to Ms. Hamilton. Really, it doesn't change a whole lot. We're still sitting in the same place, doing the same things, but we have a new person that we report to. So we think it's a good fit, actually, in the broader sense of floodplain management. So we're looking forward to it.
Welcome aboard.
And then there's some other new faces in the flood team. So you may have noticed Marianne Greer, who's sitting over there behind the clock. You guys are probably aware that Chelsea will be going on maternity leave here pretty soon. So it's a shock. So Marianne will be joining us for our helping out with the board meetings moving forward. And we also may see some staff from the community development also helping us out at our board meetings until Chelsea returns. And then last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce a new core member to the flood team, Mr. Ken Godleski, who's here in the audience. So Ken joins us after, well, I'm going to let him do his own speaking since he's at the podium.
All right. Good morning, President and members of the board. My name is Ken Godleski. Appreciate the opportunity to come on board and be a part of the team. You got a bunch of great folks here doing a lot of great work, and seeing the progress just in the month I've been here, it gets me excited about what we're going to be able to do in the next couple of years. Just coming over from the County of Yuba. I was the bridge program manager over there, and before that I did land development with Wood Rogers. I worked for the City of Santa Rosa doing stormwater stuff, so I'm familiar with the progress, how that's gone, and just want to thank you guys for the opportunity, and hopefully my skills are a good fit for what the agency's looking for. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes my update.
That's it?
That's it.
Meetings?
Special meeting.
Oh, yes, wait a minute, there's a special meeting for the
WSAFCA.
22nd of October.
Planned.
It's a planned meeting. That's it?
10 o'clock.
Same time.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
special,
same time,
we're planning a
same place.
special meeting for the 22nd of October to start at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, open meeting.
Open meeting. It's an open meeting. Meeting's adjourned.
Hey, sweetie, how are you?
Fine.
That looked like a WSAFCA anyway, Bill.